Hello and welcome to Emerald Exchange Orchestrated Intelligence Decoded. I'm Richelle Carey. Keeping financial services flowing for billions of people in hundreds of countries across every kind of financial institution is one of the great technological challenges of our time. And right now, the most consequential question in financial services is not whether AI will transform banking, it's who institutions can trust to help them do it safely. FIS has recently launched an enterprise data and AI platform that gives financial institutions of every size secure access to their own banking data. In addition, FIS has also started a new partnership with Anthropic to build purpose-built AI agents on top of that platform. Joining me now are Global Head of Corporate and AI Strategy at FIS, Himal Makwana, and Head of Enterprise Data Technology and Technical Product Management at FIS, Carson Pickens. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you so much for having us. It's a really exciting time for us and great to unpack it today here with you.
Wonderful.
Yep, thank you. We're really looking forward to the conversation.
I am as well, so let's get right to it, okay? Start with you, Himal. You've announced a partnership with Anthropic alongside an enterprise data and AI platform. So tell us more about what you've built together. Why now? Why Anthropic? I know you're excited about this.
Absolutely. So look, for us, it's a huge moment. It's an exciting moment. This has been months and months of work behind the scenes. And anyone anywhere in the world has got eyes on Anthropic as like the leading enterprise company. So this was no small feat to get to something as highly strategic and unique as this is. So what have we actually announced? We've announced that FIS Global will be working with Anthropic in a unique fashion where their forward deployed engineers are going to work with our engineering teams and two design partner banks, BMO and Amalgamated, to build custom agents with the first use case being financial crimes, AML financial crimes. That's a really important activity for all banks in the US. And we feel it's a great use case to apply agentic to. It's a human-intensive workload. The cost of getting it wrong through regulatory fines and the burdens banks have is high and material. So we think we're pointing this agent with all the resources that Anthropic and the intelligence they bring with our systems to the right area. So we're hugely excited by that. As part of that broader deal, we will be consuming and rolling out Claude, which is Anthropic's frontier model, to our employee base, both our engineering talent and the knowledge workers. And from using the tool in preview over the last few months at FIS, I can say it becomes part of your daily operating system. It's absolutely fantastic. So you ask a really good question, which we get a lot. Why Anthropic? So as we went through the motion and we culturally talked about what we were trying to achieve, the end game of both of our respective plans, there was a lot of cultural alignment. They lead with trust and safety, and they're very first, foremost, and public with that. And that's also very much in the DNA of FIS. We've been around for 60 years, and our clients depend on us for that trust and safety and regulatory posture. So there was a lot of cultural alignment. And when we started looking at the opportunity together, they picked us as much as we picked them. And we're really, really thrilled to start with this first agent. But the broader plan is to have a roadmap of bank-grade agents that we roll out to our clients that are searching for answers. They're looking to trusted partners like FIS for a solution. So that's a little bit of, why now, why Anthropic, and why we're so thrilled.
Can really set a tone for the industry, honestly.
I'd just like to add one thing to that.
Please do.
Whenever we look for a partnership, we look for deep alignment in the interests between FIS and our partners. And in this situation, we have that deep alignment. Anthropic is interested in getting Claude out across many banks in the financial services ecosystem. And they could do that going bank by bank, or they could do that working through FIS to build productized capabilities that we can deploy sort of broadly across the market. So one of the things we're really excited about with this financial crimes use case and this anti-money laundering use case is the ability to take what is a pretty kind of common activity that ultimately leads up to a very common sort of regulatory filing and truly automating it and providing substantial additional signal using Claude and the FIS data assets in play. It really is a product. It's not a custom implementation for a design partner. It's something that we are really looking to roll out across our broader customer base and beyond.
So tell us more about this relationship between Anthropic and this platform. It's a data and AI platform together. So explain more what this relationship is, Carson.
Sure, absolutely. The financial services industry has a problem. And that is, there is a lot of data that is sitting all over the place. Like many heavily regulated industries that have grown over many decades, there are little data silos for different data sets that are sitting in many, many different places. And as a result, especially as we move to an agentic world, it is difficult for agents to traverse sort of the entirety of all the data stuff it needs in order to do a given job. What this data and AI platform is doing is fundamentally picking up all the data from all these sort of isolated source systems, unlocking it, bringing it together and unifying it, and making it available to agentic workflows. So those agentic workflows can actually do really complex things like investigate a whole financial crimes investigation. Like that's a meaningful thing that requires wire data and ACH data and digital device footprint data and checking data and savings data and all sorts of things that we need to pull together and make available. So it's a complex task, and it's something we're really excited to work with Anthropic on.
The data is only as good as if you know what to do with it and how to interpret it and how to make it all talk to each other, right?
Absolutely. Okay,
here's a question for both of you. A lot of companies are making AI claims right now, as we all know, just pulling things out of the sky in some places. But what differentiates FIS from other companies making all these grandiose AI claims? Who wants to take that one first?
I'll start. So look, I'll say the noise is real. It's deafening. Every day you wake up, there's a new headline, someone claiming to do X or Y. We hear it, we study it, we observe it, we monitor it. What I would say is that, we've been customer-led from the start. So we have, deep and trusted relationship with our clients. And as we talk to them about their problems and what they're facing, we've taken a lot of that feedback and groomed it into this solution that we're rolling out. So we've put AI at the center, integrated into what we already provide for our clients. And we become, the operating system that the bank runs on. It's not something that's just an afterthought or bolted on to grab a headline, right? And I'm not saying everyone's doing that, but, clearly every board, every executive, every investor is looking at this space with intensity, and everyone's burdened to say something, right? I'm sure you'll agree with me. So I think we've thought really deeply about that, and we've taken time to come to market with something that's thoughtful. And the reaction that we've seen since launching this thing has been extremely positive. It's just reaffirmed all of our plans and things that we'd kind of intended for this to be true. But still, it's very much day one. Like the real work starts now, designing this agent, launching it. And the fact that we've got 2 design partners makes this even more real for the market to understand that this is a real thing, not just a headline.
Yeah, how about that, Carson?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what Himal just said. The one thing I would add is we are very much going to market with both a data and AI platform, but there's corresponding use cases that data and AI platform is going to support. There's a lot of talk out there about sort of generic capabilities, MCP servers. We are capable of, building agents for all sorts of custom workflows. It isn't meaningful unless you can really articulate what exactly are you doing and how is it going to bring value to a customer. So at FIS, we are very weary of platforms to nowhere.
Say that again. Platforms to nowhere.
Platforms to nowhere. Correct.
Okay.
We are very much trying to vertically slice this and build platform capabilities very specifically to address use cases that are going to solve problems for our customers and candidly bring revenue to FIS. And we think we're doing that. And we think that this is a really good proof point of that.
We talked a lot about trust, but it's clear that you also bring honesty and a reality check in some places to clients as well. You're not just pulling pie out of the sky or just building platforms to nowhere.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. How do you keep client data safe during all of this?
I'll start and then I'll allow him to sort of add on. So first and foremost, this is not a policy or process-based engagement where we talk about the things that can and can't leave FIS's walls and so forth. We have very explicit architectural patterns that prevent customer data from leaving FIS. So what we are doing is we are bringing in Anthropic intelligence and reasoning, but we are doing it within the context of FIS's sort of secure infrastructure. And all of the data that we are utilizing to power this agent is FIS data at present. It already exists within FIS because it is key to the products that we use to service our customers. And we are essentially using it for a new purpose. So, we've worked hard to make sure that we have the right structure in place in order to preserve that level of trust. And candidly, it's something Anthropic has partnered with us on as well, because it's a pattern they'll need to reproduce with other customers.
So your partners, your clients need to know nothing is changing from what your standards have always been.
Correct. And obviously, we need to show them proof that that is the case. But that is how we are approaching this, and it candidly is the best way for us to do it because we have strong processes in place presently.
Let's just say there's a lot of IP lawyers around this. So no, jokes aside, I think as Carson said, we are taking this as an extremely serious topic. And in every agreement, we are very, very clear. We don't hide behind fluffy language that says we may do this or may do that. There's clear delineation between client, us as a solution provider and platform, and what Anthropic can and can't do. And it works for everyone. It really does work for everyone without one person owning what someone else may deem theirs. So I think we take this topic seriously, and we're continuously reviewing our practices to make sure it aligns to our clients and our strategic partners too.
Okay, I have another question for you. There are those who argue that AI will ultimately disrupt or displace companies like FIS. Are those fighting words? What do you have to say to that?
We've been fighting that narrative for many months now. So as a public company, we're not alone. Every software company that looks like us in every vertical has felt the pressure of the stock market asking this question. So we are very honest and transparent with our investors. So I'll say a few things. Every single quarter of our earnings, we start with what we're doing, our progress to our investor base. We're being extremely honest to our investors, to our board, to our partners on the progress we're making and what's ahead. We see ourselves as mission critical system and infrastructure. We support the world's money, okay? Money at rest in people's accounts around the world, money at work in investment and trading platforms, and money in motion through the scale that we have through our payment platforms. That is mission critical software. I don't believe a world where that mission critical software is displaced or eaten away at in any short or even medium or long-term plan, right? But it's burdened on us to make sure that we put AI in the right places. So we call these things base systems. And that's what earns the right for FIS to serve our clients for the last 60 years. We're being really methodical with our investments to ensure that our lending platforms, our payment platforms, all the ones I'm describing, AI shows up in the right way to enhance or augment or better a workflow that the client is needing, right? And I think if we do that in an integrated way, I think we can resist the displacement theory. And I think this is going to be noisy for a while, is my take. But I think the market will adjust itself, as it always does, back to kind of rational behavior and see that, it's very, very difficult to just assume that this kind of goes away and it's here today and AI can just, fundamentally change this, right? It is going to be a fundamental step change, but I don't think it's in a way that's going to lead to displacement.
If you are just joining us, this is the Emerald Exchange, and I'm Richelle Carey. I'm here with Himal Makwana, the Global Head of Corporate and AI Strategy at FIS, and Carson Pickens, the Head of Enterprise Data Technology and Technical Product Management, FIS. It sounds like I'm asking you all these technical questions, and I have a few more, but it also sounds like a lot of what these changes are is also managing expectations and emotions as well when talking with clients and partners. How do you manage that, Carson? I mean, you're a technical guy, but I'm sure when you're having these conversations, sometimes you have to level set with your partners who have questions about something that is new and big and that we're all still figuring out.
Yeah. So we have two sort of types of customers in my experience. We have customers that have gone out and they've sort of built something, and their ask is, I need my data to fuel it. And I need your support in building out something that, I've already envisioned or I've already kind of put wood behind the arrow on and so forth. And for those customers, it's a much easier conversation and so forth. Obviously we have perspectives and we have opinions and we bring those to bear. And we help them to kind of sharpen their hypotheses and whatnot. But that is a much easier discussion. We also have customers that, are just getting started and they have pressure coming in from their boards, from their CEOs, from their investors and so forth. To start operating in an agentic world, to start driving costs out of their businesses, to start enabling new use cases for their end customers and so forth. And they're just kind of trying to get started. And for them, it's a big proposition, and there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of basic infrastructural work you need to do to get your data in a good place, to get internal talent and expertise to a place where you're effectively able to do some of this stuff. And there's, an army of people, telling them that it's going to be easy.
Right.
And it's not. It really isn't.
Yeah.
We've lived some of that road rash internally. We're trying to work with our customers to help them avoid some of the mistakes we've made and help them learn from our mistakes and sort of get off to a fresh start and so forth. It's energizing. And we're starting to see some of that energy manifest in real results. But that's where we spend most of our time, because there's a lot of opportunity. You can really go from 0 to 60, and we think that we can do it faster than what we've seen over the last 6, 12, 18 months in industry.
So we have talked a lot about all the headlines, and you made a really good point. Sometimes there's pressure just to say or do something, even though you don't know where, right? So I guess finally, just bring it back home on how you ensure and address the safety concerns and trust concerns that your partners have. It seems like this is just a paramount focus here at FIS. But at the end of the day, how do you ensure then that you are going to be using AI in a responsible manner? Who wants to take that one?
I'll start with it. So look, where the magic happens is when you bring a frontier model like a Claude with Anthropic to the solutions that FIS already provides its customers. They talk a lot about harnesses. And harnesses really is the perimeter that you allow the LLM, which are non-deterministic by nature, meaning every prompt you put in, there's a slightly different output each time. What the harness does is really constrain that in a way that is bank grade. The regulators can look at auditability, traceability of that, as they should, as they go through their kind of things. It meets compliance, it meets legal. And these are all the components that form the umbrella term of trust, right? So that's how we think about it really, really deeply. And, we are going to be spending a lot of time with our engineering teams working hand in hand, remember, with the forward deployed engineers that Anthropic are leaning into, and ensuring that the harness really meets, and we pressure test it before we put anything into production. And that's the trust at bar that our clients expect of us. And we're ready for that challenge. And we're already into various design sessions where we feel really, really good about that upcoming work. And Carson sort of referenced it earlier. This means architectural design. So Carson mentioned, this gets technical very quickly. So whilst we have salespeople, Carson's probably the best seller at the moment. Like, he walks into any client meeting on this topic, and quickly as the topic gets technical around trust and safety and model use and data, we have technical people on the front line that are having these conversations, giving the assurances. And I think our clients are receiving that extremely well.
Yep. The other thing I would say, and this is a different angle to trust, but one of the questions we oftentimes get is, are you bringing different customers' data together? And how are you thinking about data aggregation and all those sorts of questions? So it's a slightly different angle. It's less about security and so forth. And it's more just about, data rights policy. And one of the things that we love to assure our customers is we are not aggregating and co-locating your data with another customer's data under any circumstances. Like, that is a key tenet to all of this. Is there opportunity to do that in the future? Maybe, but not without express consent and the right sort of commercial arrangements with our customer base and so forth. So this is very much customer by customer with a level of productization over the top of it.
That's wonderful. Guys, thank you for sharing. I know you're excited about this announcement. You wanted to talk about it. It sounds like a wonderful partnership. Thank you for your time and for your emphasis on trust. I know your clients and partners really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thanks for giving us the stage. It's been great, really thoughtful questions, and hopefully it's been valuable.
Thank you, Himal.
Yeah, thank you as well. This has been a great conversation, and it was nice meeting you.
Thank you, Carson. Thank you both. All right, we have been speaking with Himal Makwana and Carson Pickens of FIS to explore more of the forces reshaping financial services and how the world's leading institutions are responding. Join me for more episodes of Emerald Exchange, and thank you for joining us.